I have two daughters, 23-year-old, 20-year-old. They are both so beautiful and smart, and I really love them both. I always wanted them to be strong and independent women who could stand on their own feet, and I tried to raise them that way. They were both interested in volleyball. I always supported their interest. My younger is still playing in a team and also studying at a good university. She is really hard-working, and even if she does not succeed in playing professional volleyball, she will definitely have a good job. My older daughter quit both sports and school when she got pregnant at the age of 18. When she first told us that she was pregnant, I was very upset and advised her to have a baby unaliving because having a child at such a young age would disrupt her life. She did not want to have a baby unaliving, and my wife supported her decision. To be honest, I was very insistent on her having a baby unaliving at that time, but when I saw that she remained determined, I dropped the issue and supported her fully, even though I didn't want to. She got married quickly with the baby's father. Then she decided to stay at home and take care of her child, and her husband started to work. I never wanted my daughter to be financially dependent on her husband, but I never voiced it either. But of course my daughter knows that I'm bothered by this. Yesterday we were having dinner with my daughters and my wife. My wife and daughter started talking about being a mother. My wife told her that even though I wanted her to have a baby unaliving, I love my grandson very much now. My daughter asked me if that was so, and I said, of course I love him. I really love my grandson. But my daughter knew that I was bothered by her situation, so it didn't sound sincere at all. My daughter said I could give an honest answer. I told her that I really love my grandson, but that I was disappointed that she had become a mother at an early age, had left school and her job, and was now dependent on a man. She didn't argue with me, but the rest of the night was a bit tense. At the end of the night she went home, and my wife started a fight over what I said. I told her that she was the one who wanted an honest answer, but my wife is sure that I'm an AH. My younger one agrees with me but says I was rude to say it out loud. Edit. I'm not sorry that my daughter doesn't live the life I want. I'm sorry that she lives dependent on another person, and I can't say that their marriage is going very well. They chose the sport they wanted to be interested in, the university they wanted to go, or their hobbies, etc. I didn't force anything on them. All I want is for them to be self-sufficient. I also told my daughter that I would pay for a babysitter if she wanted to go back to school or get a job. Yes, she's only 23 years old and could still have a career, but she's not doing that. Edit 3. Since yesterday, I have received many comments about what a good father I am and what a terrible father I am. It's okay. In the second edit, I posted it in the comments. I said I would apologize to my daughter, which I did. It was a long conversation, but I don't have the time today, so I can't go into detail. Also, no matter how much I go into detail, some people here seem to be very interested in making things up. So it will be a wasted effort. In short, I apologized and explained to her that I'm more worried than disappointed. Thankfully, she understood. I reminded her again that I love her and will always be there for her. Also, my suspicions about their marriage turned out to be correct. They don't have a good marriage. Her husband has suggested therapy, but she doubts it will work. This time I didn't tell her what to do. I told her that I would support her in whatever she does. I told her that if she wants to go back to school or work, my offer of babysitter still stands. And if she wants more from me, I will always do it. So I'm still the best father ever and Lote 3. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. All these YT. The comments are so unrealistic. I'm going to be downvoted into oblivion, but I don't care. Your kid asked a question, asked for an honest answer, and you gave one. She's 23, not 7. Don't ask a question you don't want an answer to. I'm sorry, but I thought your answer was honest, realistic and kind. You admitted to being happy with your grandson and loving him, but you can't lie and say you're necessarily happy with all your kids' decisions. I'm sorry, but not being ecstatic that your child has no education or job experience and is completely dependent on their spouse isn't a terrible thing. It's not a dig at stay-at-home mum or motherhood. It's just worry, fear that if anything happens, his grandkid will have massive financial issues. You didn't say she herself was a disappointment. If you had, I would be reaming you out in the comments myself. When she committed to this new life plan, you put your thoughts aside and supported your kid despite your own feelings, which is what parenting is. Parents don't have to be necessarily happy with their kids' choices. They do have to support them, though, and you did. My mum was a teen parent and she's amazing. My parents made it work and everything worked out, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't be disappointed if after all their sacrifices I'd followed the same path. And again, this isn't a dig at teen mums. It's just acknowledging that being a teen parent is a huge struggle, and realistically no parent is going to be ecstatic about their kids having children so young. I fully support anyone's decisions, but if my little brother came up to me and said he was dropping out of school and his high school girlfriend was pregnant, disappointed wouldn't even cover my feelings. We all know our parent and their beliefs wants, and we know if we deviate it might disappoint them. The question is how our parents handle that treat us. Parents are allowed to having thoughts and feelings. As long as they don't push them on their kids, that's fine. OP doesn't like certain things but didn't voice it, didn't push it on his kid. He just quietly accepted her choices once they were made and supported her. As his daughter, she knew his feelings, but she can't be upset because at no point did he push them on her past the initial "don't keep it" debate. Not the idiot edited to add. Wow, I read the comments, and yeah, I know everyone tries to paint themselves in a great light, but if OP has done even a fraction of all the things he's explaining, he's been really supportive. He has supported his kid emotionally and financially from the moment she decided she was keeping the kid. He didn't allow the fact that he didn't agree with her to stop him from supporting and loving his kid. On top of that, her marriage isn't exactly doing great. Sure, OP is obviously going to give her a soft place to land if this falls apart, but he wasn't wrong about her being able to support herself on her own if it does, and he wouldn't really have to had she just been financially independent. Comment 2. OP, I think it's less that you're disappointed in your daughter, but that you're worried and scared for her. From your post and comments, you say that she's financially dependent on a marriage that isn't going well, and that she isn't taking steps to ensure for her future by getting some training or education. That doesn't sound like a parent who is disappointed. You weren't talking about the career she should have had, or the choices she should have made. Some parents focus a lot on a very specific vision of the future they wanted for their child, but your ideal future was just that she was able to support herself well. Perhaps it would be better in a moment just between the two of you to frame it that way, that while you love your grandson who came out of it, you're worried that the choices your daughter made in the past, and moreover the choices she is making now, leave her vulnerable. Not just to her marriage breaking down, no matter how much it seems to not be going well, that's not for you to say, but her spouse being out of work, or ill, or even passing away, or just the economy getting worse and them needing 2 incomes. You're worried she's going to be stuck, and you and her mother won't be around forever to help. Most parents just want to know that their children are going to be okay, that they have a good set of safety nets, so you can breathe a bit easier and make plans for your own future, not to mention the day far in the future that you won't be there. Comment 3. I was prepared to call you the jerk from the title, but after reading what you have to say, I'm going with not the jerk. As a parent, we all have dreams for our children. We want to see them do better than us and to have it all. And it can sometimes be difficult to accept when we see them falling short of that perfect life we have pictured in our mind. You would only be the jerk if you treated your child and grandchild differently because of it, refused to drop it, or in any way did not accept the choices made by your child, who does have the right to want something different. It doesn't seem to me like that's the case here. Your daughter was unsatisfied with your initial statement about loving your grandson and pushed for clarification. She then went on to assure that being honest was okay, so you were honest. You didn't call her failure or a disappointment. You spoke of your feelings in what I would consider to be a non-judgmental manner after being pushed for it, and assured that it was okay. While you are not entitled to push your choices and values on your adult daughter, you are entitled to your feelings about those choices. Now, for the update. The situation further devolved this past month when the older daughter and her husband started facing financial difficulties. Her husband lost his job due to corporate downsizing, and they found themselves barely scraping by. This was concerning enough, but then to make matters worse, they discovered they're expecting a second child. Despite the financial constraints, my daughter insisted on keeping the baby, further frustrating me. I tried to persuade her to reconsider, for her own sake and that of her current child. I even offered to pay for the procedure, but she was adamant about going through with the pregnancy, which led to yet another heated argument. My wife sided with our daughter, reprimanding me for not being more supportive of her choice, causing a further rift in our relationship. In my desperation, I contacted my younger daughter, hoping she would support my viewpoint. However, she also sided with her sister. She said that even though their choices were different, that didn't mean one was better than the other. She accused me of trying to value her degree and sport more than her sister's choice of family, which left me feeling alienated from both my daughters. The stress of this situation caused my health to take a turn for the worse. I was hospitalized for a minor heart attack. I won't lie, it was scary, and it forced me to reassess my priorities. I've always wanted my daughters to be strong and independent, but I realized I may have been too harsh in measuring their success solely by my yardstick. I came home from the hospital to a warm welcome. Both my daughters were there, with the older one's son toddling about. Seeing their worried faces made me understand how much they cared for me, regardless of our disagreements. I apologized to my older daughter, acknowledging that if she was happy, I should be too. She was gracious enough to forgive me. I promised her that I would try to be more understanding of her situation and offer my support without pushing my own agenda. I'm hoping that moving forward, we can mend our strained relationships and that I can learn to appreciate and respect their individual paths. Now for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. While it's understandable that you're worried about the financial situation, ultimately it's your daughter's decision to keep the baby. It's her body, her choice. However, it's important to have respectful conversations about the future and the financial implications of having a child. It's crucial that she and her husband understand the realities they'll be facing. 2. Everyone sucks here. Your daughter and her husband for not considering their financial situation realistically. They need to understand that bringing a child into a financially unstable environment is not ideal. However, you also crossed a line by offering to pay for the procedure. It's your daughter's decision to make, and you should be supportive regardless of your personal opinions. 3. You're the idiot. The fact that you had a heart attack and still chose to blame your daughters instead of acknowledging your own stress and the pressure you put on them is an issue. You need to respect their choices, and instead of creating conflict, try to be a source of support. You need to understand that everyone has different paths in life, and it's important to respect those choices. Now for the next story. Weird question, but I have 4 sons. They are 14, 12, 8 and 4. The older 2 are biological, and the younger 2 were adopted after a birth complication made us infertile. I was at the park over the weekend with my younger 2 boys. I got to chatting with another couple and mentioned that I had 4 boys. She said something like, "Oh, you poor thing. I wanted a girl too, but he," pointing to her husband, "didn't want to have a third." I told her that I didn't try for a girl, and that if I wanted a girl we could have put that in our adoption paperwork, but we didn't have a gender preference. I had no strong desire for a girl and love having sons, so she has no reason to feel sorry for me. It rubbed me the wrong way that she said poor thing. Like, my boys aren't good enough for me, and she said it right in front of them. They already have to field questions about being adopted. They shouldn't have to feel bad about their gender too, you know? Anyway, the lady got upset, told me I was being rude for no reason, and walked away. I spoke to my sister-in-law about it, and she also felt I didn't handle it correctly. She has 3 girls and 1 boy and said it is just a normal thing people comment on. She said people will tell her that her son is going to be feminine because he only has sisters, and she just shrugs it off, so I should have done the same. Am I the idiot? Edit. Goodness, guys, reporting me for concern of self-harm is crazy. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I'm one of 4 girls, and people always used to say to my dad, "Did you want a boy to play with?" right in front of us. They even say it to me when I mention I am one of 4 girls. It always stung a little, like why wouldn't he want 4 daughters? We are great. And it still drives him mad, and he used to slam that one right down and make the person feel really stupid for saying something stupid, which made me feel better and confident. He is a proud girl dad, and used to always finish by telling people how he must have been a saint in a past life, to have been blessed with all girls. You did the right thing, and your boys deserve to know that they're wanted and not a consolation prize. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You did the right thing by sticking up for your boys in front of them. Maybe it will make this woman more cautious next time she opens her mouth, and maybe not. As for your sister-in-law, I definitely wouldn't get angry with someone who told me my son was going to be feminine, because that would make it sound as if feminine was a bad thing. I might challenge them in another way, like, isn't it lucky that he's growing up with all these great role models for kindness and emotional availability? All boys should be so lucky. But her situation is different. Maybe not so harmful to shrug off that weird comment. Comment 3. Not the idiot. That was weird and presumptuous of her. It feels like she's relying on a gendered stereotype that says that girls are easier kids to care for because they'll take on some of your household labour or work around your needs, whereas boys can do whatever they want and there's no solution for it. Whereas the reality is that kids of all ages can learn to take on chores and help their parents, and children of all ages should be allowed to have a childhood and be boisterous. Some freaking nonsense, and I'm glad you make sure your kids knew you wouldn't have wanted them any other way. Now for the update. Well, you won't believe what transpired since I last posted. One afternoon we bumped into the same couple from the park at the grocery store. I was with all my boys, and let's just say the encounter was enlightening. Out of nowhere, the woman from the park approached us, looking a bit sheepish. I was mentally preparing myself for another awkward conversation when she surprised me by apologising. She admitted that after our park encounter, her comment had bothered her, and she'd thought a lot about it. She realised how it had implied that my adopted sons were second choices, which was far from the truth. She expressed sincere regret, which was relieving to hear. But here's where things really took a turn. The man, her husband, confessed that they were considering adoption. They had been for a while, and her comments in the park had been a manifestation of her own insecurities about the process. They were worried if they'd love an adopted child as much as their own biological child, if they'd have a preference, and all these other fears. It was a raw and honest conversation right there amidst the grocery aisles. My boys, especially my adopted ones, listened intently, and then something incredible happened. My 3rd son, my first adopted one, started sharing his side of the story. He spoke about how he felt equally loved in our family, how being adopted didn't make him feel like a second choice, but chosen. It was a heartfelt, touching speech that left us all teary-eyed between the cereal and pasta aisles. Later that day, my sister-in-law called. She'd heard about the grocery store encounter from my eldest. She admitted that she hadn't really considered how dismissive her initial advice had been. She apologised and said she was proud of how I'd handled the situation. All in all, these past 2 weeks have been a whirlwind. It's been an emotional roller coaster, but the journey has been eye-opening for all of us. We've had conversations as a family we didn't realise we needed, and my boys feel validated and heard. Sometimes it's the unexpected encounters that lead to the most profound insights, and while the world can be quick to judge and make assumptions, it's these very assumptions that, when questioned and confronted, can lead to understanding and growth. I'm grateful for the experience and for my 4 wonderful boys. Now for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. It's clear that you've created a loving environment where your adopted sons feel equally loved and cherished. The woman's apology indicates that she recognised her previous comment was insensitive. It was also brave of the man to open up about his fears regarding adoption. This shows that your family's experience is shifting perspectives and breaking the stigma around adoption. 2. Not the idiot. I applaud how your adopted son handled the situation, speaking up about his feelings of being loved in your family. It takes guts to voice out such personal thoughts, especially to strangers. Your sister-in-law's apology also indicates a change in her attitude, which is a sign of growth. It's great that these conversations are happening and leading to deeper understanding. 3. Not the idiot. You're doing an amazing job as a parent, fostering an environment where your sons feel comfortable expressing their feelings. Also, it's commendable that you're creating opportunities for open discussions about adoption. Your proactive approach to addressing these issues is helping others confront their fears and misconceptions. Keep up the good work. Now, for the next story. So I, female 24, am friends with Holly, female 28, who is getting married next summer. Holly has always been a Disney girlie, and I wasn't surprised when she told me and the other bridesmaids she wanted us to dress as Disney princesses. Holly is going to wear a huge, glittery, glammed-up ball gown, and will be in dresses that are more of a modern take on the princesses' dresses, but there will be text on the invite stating which bridesmaid is which princess and which groom is which prince. There are 5 of us, and she wants us each in a different colour. So she has chosen Ariel, pink, Cinderella, blue, Belle, yellow, Rapunzel, purple, and Tiana, green. She picked who would be who for us, and told me that she wants me as Tiana since I have black hair. The problem is I'm white. The entire bridal party is white. You can see why I'm not feeling this choice. I brought it up privately with Holly and tried to suggest alternatives for green, Merida from Brave or Anna from Frozen, but she shot them down. Merida's dress is actually blue, plus she has no prince, and she doesn't like Frozen. I told Holly that I will not be Tiana for her wedding, and that I'm stepping down unless she accepts one of the alternatives or provides another. She called me a witch and a terrible friend, and said nobody's going to care. I told her that I care and I'm not doing it. I've gotten some Facebook messages from some of her family/friends asking why I'm being so difficult and why I'm trying to ruin Holly's wedding, and even a couple of the bridesmaids have told me to just suck it up because I'm throwing Holly's plan out of whack. I'm standing my ground on this, but the pushback kind of has me wondering if I'm making something out of nothing. Am I the jerk? Edit. Bride only asked me to get a tan. Nowhere did I comment saying she asked everyone. Even if I had done so and deleted the comment, someone in this thread would still be able to find it, or at least the deleted marker in one of the comment threads. Edit 2. Woke up to the post locked and a lot of hate in my inbox, so that's fun. Awaiting a judgment flare because there are too many comments going both ways for me to know what the majority here ruled, but I got some good advice. Thanks everyone. Edit. The not the idiot and no idiots here votes took the majority despite the flare, and the not the idiot comments were far more concise and logical, so I feel confident in decision here and that I was not a jerk. I have also set up an AMA for anyone who still has questions since this post is now locked. Thank you to everyone who gave me good advice and sent love to my inbox. Also, in case it isn't clear to the plethora of users who continue to recommend alternatives, I bowed out of the wedding after Holly called me a witch, and I will not be making attempts to rejoin. At this point, I no longer consider Holly and a friend, and I doubt she still considers me one. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Comments are now locked due to continued rule violations from commentators. Rule 1. Be civil, attack ideas, not people. The purpose of this sub is to determine and explain who is in the wrong, not to eviscerate anyone. Treat others with respect while helping them grow through outside perspectives. Derogatory or dehumanizing language, including insults, violate this rule. This rule applies to everyone, even those not on Reddit. Don't insult others or get into spats in the comments. Don't comment to remind users of the rules. Use reports. Be respectful. Be nice. Don't be a jerk. Comment 2. No idiots here. There's nothing wrong with a Tiana-inspired dress on anyone, as long as there's nothing weird going on with hair makeup. There's generally some leeway when you're Disney bounding versus fully dressing up as a character, but the bride should really consider your comfort level. Announcing who is which princess also strikes me as weird, and I'm a Disney girl myself. Wear the dress or bow out depending on how important this friendship and wedding is to you. Comment 3. Honestly, you're the idiot if that's the only reason. It's a green dress, nobody cares. You're not playing her at a park, you're not pretending to be Tiana at all. You're just wearing a green dress which you've already said you'd be fine with if it was another princess. Of course you're allowed to not be a bridesmaid for any reason, but if that's the only reason, then it's a stupid one. Now for the update. Well, things have spiralled further and in directions I hadn't anticipated. After I stepped down as a bridesmaid, Holly stopped talking to me. It hurt, but I was willing to give her some space until the wedding anxiety cooled down. Then I heard through the grapevine that Holly had replaced me with another friend, Jenna. Jenna isn't white and she isn't black, she's Asian, and she was assigned Mulan. Jenna is not Chinese either. She felt just as uncomfortable as I did, but she didn't want to upset Holly, so she reluctantly agreed. Still, I kept my distance until one day I heard that Jenna also decided to step down after some thought. Holly blew up at her, accusing her of trying to ruin her wedding. Things went from bad to worse, and now they're not talking either. The situation then spiraled further out of control. Holly's sister, Katie, was slated to be Rapunzel. However, Katie recently had a medical issue that resulted in hair loss. When Katie asked Holly if she could switch characters due to her current inability to grow her hair long, Holly outright refused, and instead suggested that Katie wear a wig. Katie did not react well to this. She felt that Holly was more concerned about the aesthetics of her wedding than the feelings of her bridesmaids, even her own sister. That led to a major falling out between the two. Now, 3 bridesmaids have stepped down, and the wedding isn't for another month. The family and friends who were once criticising me for my decision have gone oddly quiet. All in all, the whole situation has become a hot mess, and I'm realising that maybe my friendship with Holly wasn't as strong as I thought. Meanwhile, Jenna, Katie and I have become a lot closer. We've started hanging out more often, and it's refreshing to be around people who value respect and understanding over aesthetics. The 3 of us are even planning a girls' trip to take our minds off this whole mess. So not the update I expected to give, but there you have it. 1 month on and things have drastically spiralled out of control. Now for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. Holly seems to be more concerned with her wedding theme than the comfort and well-being of her friends and family. Your role as a bridesmaid is to support the bride, but it goes both ways. If she can't respect your boundaries and is causing distress, stepping down is a valid choice. Moreover, her treatment of Katie, her own sister, shows a remarkable lack of empathy. Good on you for supporting Jenna and Katie and putting your mental health first. 2. Not the idiot. Sounds like Holly has lost sight of what her wedding should be about. Celebrating love with friends and family, not causing drama and discomfort. Assigning characters from different cultures could be considered offensive and inappropriate, and it seems like she's not considering how this might make her bridal party feel. You, Jenna and Katie are definitely better off without this kind of stress and drama. 3. Not the idiot. It's important to remember that weddings are about more than just the bride. They should be a celebration for everyone involved. Holly's dismissive attitude toward Katie's medical issue is particularly concerning. It's more than reasonable that Katie would want to switch characters, and Holly's refusal indicates a serious lack of compassion and understanding. Stepping down was the right move, and forming closer bonds with Jenna and Katie sounds like a great outcome from a tough situation. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.